Stranger Things is already a horror show. We get that. There's monsters, creepy government labs, psychic kids, pretty standard, scary stuff. But what if there's something else going on? Something that's not growling or chasing you, but still leaves you kind of eerie. Because the more you rewatch this show, the more it starts to feel like everyone's trapped in something way bigger than the Upside Down. Something slower, quieter, harder to escape. We remember the bikes, the walkie-talkies, and the neon lights. But under all that, there's a different kind of horror. And if you've never noticed it before, don't worry, you're about to. This is Horror Within. Stranger Things just feels good to watch, right? The colors, the music, the goofy haircuts. It's warm, it's familiar. It makes you feel like that childhood was yours, even if you didn't really grow up in the 80s. It's kind of brilliant, honestly. The show wraps itself in all this soft, fuzzy nostalgia, and then fills it with monsters and trauma and death. But because it looks like comfort, you don't always realize how disturbing it really is. We're so focused on the Demogorgons and Vecna and the slime that we don't stop to look at why everything in Hawkins feels so stuck. Because here's the thing, Stranger Things isn't just a horror show. It's a story about people who are addicted to the past, to the idea that it was better, simpler. And the longer they cling to it, the more it's destroying them. Like the town looks like a postcard, but it never changes. The same bike routes, the same hair. It's all designed to make you think, yes, simpler times. But was it actually simple? You've got parents who don't listen, kids disappearing, government experiments under schools, an entire generation of people emotionally repressed. But hey, there's a synthesizer track playing over it, so it's all good. No need to worry. Stranger Things doesn't say the past was good. It says you think the past was good, and that lie is killing you. The nostalgia keeps you looking backward. And in Hawkins, distractions cause people to disappear. Because the real danger isn't the monster in the woods. It's the fact that everyone keeps pretending everything's fine. So yeah, Stranger Things is a horror show. But even horror has its blind spots. And the biggest one is the fantasy that the past was safe. That childhood was simple. That once upon a time, everything made sense. So here's a question. Why monsters? Out of all the ways to tell a story about growing up, or friendship, or pain, why fill it with faceless creatures, shadowy dimensions, body horror, and weird tentacles? Because it's easier. It's easier to fight something external than deal with what's actually going on inside. You can't punch grief. You can't set a bear trap for guilt. But you can swing a bat at a Demogorgon. That's what Stranger Things gets so right. The monster is just the cover story. It's the excuse, the thing you chase so you don't have to look at what you're really running from. Think about it. Eleven doesn't scream because she's scared of the Demogorgon. She screams because she's terrified she'll be abandoned again. That no matter how many powers she has, she'll never be enough to keep people close. So she throws things across the room and calls it survival. Will? He literally gets taken and comes back changed. Everyone treats it like a rescue story, like, yay, we saved him. But we never talk about what it did to him, how quiet he becomes, how everyone around him moves on, while he is stuck replaying the worst thing that ever happened to him. Even Max, she's not haunted by Vecna because she's weak. She's haunted because she feels like she's the reason Billy died. And the only thing scarier than being cursed is thinking that maybe you really do deserve it. It's about blame. It's about the stuff that you can't explain. So you give it sharp teeth, a black face, and a scary name, and you start running from it. Oh, hey there. I was just visiting the Upside Down with Steve. He's in the other room right now. But he told me to tell you that he would very much appreciate if you liked this video and maybe even subscribe to the channel. Right, Steve? That's what you said. You can't hear him. It's very mumbly. He's very far away, but thank you so much. But just because the gate is closed doesn't mean the horror is gone. The monsters might be dealt with, sure. But the fear, the guilt, that stuff doesn't disappear. It lives on. Because monsters, you fight them once, maybe twice if they're stubborn. Or 3 times, 4 times? Okay, I think we get it. Point is, memory just stays forever. And no one in Hawkins really knows how to deal with that, with the memories that hurt the most. So the town teaches the kids how to punch, but never how to talk about things. Never how to truly heal. Let's talk about control. And no, I'm not talking about the control where you can move stuff with your mind. I'm talking about when you look in the mirror and you feel like someone else is staring back. That's what this whole show is really all about. Take Billy. He's the town jerk, sure. But once the mind flayer gets in, he's not just violent. He's gone, replaced, empty. He becomes a shell, hollow inside, a puppet whose strings are being pulled from somewhere deep inside. And the scariest part isn't what he does, it's what he loses. Himself. His eyes are still there, but he's not in it. That's what Stranger Things gets so right. The idea that something could crawl into your head and turn you into a weapon. That you could be used to hurt the people you care about and not even recognize yourself while it's happening. And maybe that sounds far off, but it's not. Ever felt like that? Like you're a puppet? It's something most of us go through one way or another. You're not possessed by a shadow monster, obviously, but maybe you felt like your identity isn't fully yours. Like you're being shaped by your job or your family, maybe social media. Or just by the pressure of being with the people who expect you to be in a certain way, you know? Take 11. From the very beginning, she wasn't a person. She was a project. A number. Raised in a lab, trained to react, and programmed to win. She didn't grow up learning who she was. She grew up being told what she was for. And you know what the craziest part is? Or maybe the saddest part? She survives all that. And the world just keeps doing it to her in new ways. She escapes the lab. And then suddenly she has to be a daughter because there is a man who was scarred from his past. So she fills the role of a daughter now. Not because she chose to be that way, not because it was organically coming. Then she's a friend. And it seems natural until you realize that, people just wanted her to be the hero. They befriend her, but once they realize she has powers, immediately they weaponize her too. Whatever the people around her need, she becomes that. Because she never learned or got the chance to just be. She copies outfits from magazines, practices emotions she sees in movies. She's trying to become a person in reverse, if that makes sense. Like starting with performance and slowly working her way backward towards something real. And her memories, they're not stories, more like fragments, so many screams. They don't belong to her. They happened to her. Even I never ended up once using her real given name that her mother chose for her. Jane. I just called her 11. Even for me, she was just a subject. So I'm sorry, Jane. Here's the thing. Once you start performing who you are for a long enough time, you forget that there was ever anything else. And yeah, maybe the show exaggerates it a little bit, but the feeling, the fear of losing yourself, of becoming the role instead of the person, that's not sci-fi. It's real. And Stranger Things knows it. Okay, so I got another question for you. Do you ever, zone out? Like you're sitting with your friends or reading a book or just walking down the street and suddenly you realize that you haven't really been there for the last 10 minutes or so. You're still moving, still breathing, maybe even talking, but something in you just kind of unplugged. Wait, what was I saying? That's the Upside Down. And no, not in a monster dimension with the deadly vines and angry cigarette ash dust pretending to be a tornado way, but in a feeling way. That eerie emotional static, where everything around you feels fine, but somehow it also doesn't. You're not in danger, but you're also definitely not okay. And Stranger Things captures that kind of horror better than most horror shows even try to. Like, sure, the Upside Down is a scary place. It's dark, it's creepy, there's a lot of weird things moving around, slimes, bats in the air. Are they vampires? I don't know. But the real version is much colder, much creepier than that. That feeling of showing up to your own life and not recognizing it. That just hits way harder. No? A great example of this in the show is Max. Max is basically in a trance after Billy dies. She still shows up to school, still talks to people, still acts like she's present, but she's floating.
Did someone say floating?
No, Pennywise, get out of my room, please. Sorry about that. What was I saying? But she's floating, disconnected. She's listening to music like it's the only thing keeping her tethered to Earth. And yeah, Vecna latches onto that, obviously. But what if he didn't? What if no one did? Would anyone have noticed she was gone? That's the creepy bit, because it's not big or dramatic, it's subtle. And it lasts forever. And then there's the town, Hawkins. Don't even get me started on Hawkins. I mean, this town could be on fire and then the next day, they would have a parade. They just refuse to acknowledge anything. Every season ends with some cosmic healing. They paint over the trauma, cover the blood trails, and then roll credits. But no one ever actually deals with anything. The Upside Down isn't just an alternate dimension with bad lighting. It's the part of you that stays stuck in a version of yourself you never chose, but can't escape either. Where you feel everything and nothing all at once. Where you're still here, but not really. Okay, this is something that most people kind of feel, and it's in our face. It's very obvious. Stranger Things is always sort of the same. And yeah, people roll their eyes when the following things happen, which they do every season. The group splits up again. A new creature shows up again. Hawkins becomes the center of the universe again. But maybe that's not just a storytelling habit. Maybe that's the horror. But you know what else is the horror? That water hadn't been invented back in the 80s, apparently. What's up with that? Like, almost every other scene had Coke in it. No one ever drinks water, like ever. I half expected Vecna to approach Elle with a can of Coke in his hand, have a sip, and say, "You're going to die now." Okay. Anyway, maybe the strangest thing in Stranger Things is that nothing ever really changes. Sure, everyone grows older, the stakes get bigger, but emotionally, everyone kind of loops. Joyce is a great example. Every time she starts to find something like love, actual stability, actual care, it slips away. Not because she's sabotaging it, because Hawkins won't let her have it. Hopper disappears, Bob dies. Even when she finally does get to be with someone, it's delayed to the point where it almost feels like a joke. Because if Joyce actually got to be at peace, it would change the town's emotional rhythm. And Stranger Things doesn't allow that kind of shift. Steve goes through it too. He's grown more than almost anyone on the show. He's earned a win. But right when you think he's about to get rewarded with Robin or Nancy or anyone really, the story always reverts him back. He's the same guy again, the babysitter, the hopeless romantic, the guy with the car and the hair and the heart who never quite gets chosen. Anytime something threatens to disrupt the current situation, the current state of Hawkins, Stranger Things pushes it away. Almost like this meta horror, like the show itself is aware of what's happening. There was a standout. Perhaps Billy could have broken the cycle. He was awful, but he was shattering, showing something raw underneath. But instead of letting that evolve before we're even allowed to explore, to heal, the story pulls the emergency brake. He's gone. Not just narratively, structurally. Like the system recognized the threat and removed it. Even Robin, she finally has a crush, there's tension, it's sweet, and then of course that person already has a boyfriend. It's a message Stranger Things is sending to the viewer. Watch closely, because they will never be content. And okay, have you noticed the death pattern? Bobby, Billy, Eddie? You really don't want your name ending in a Y or an IE kind of sound in this show, because the Duffer Brothers really hate that. Like, really. Good thing they don't call Steve Stevie for now. Hawkins isn't just nostalgic, it's protective. It protects the loop. It kind of preserves the past, not as a memory though, as routine, repetition. And that's what's so frightening. It's not only that the town traps them, but it's the rhythm of how they're even allowed to exist. A version of themselves they can never really grow beyond. You can start a new job, fall in love, move away, but eventually the gravity pulls you right back into orbit, back into your old role, your old version, your old loop. Stranger Things never really wants anyone to move on, because if they did, the loop might break, and maybe that would be worse. Because then you'd have to face what's underneath, the grief, the guilt, the fact that things didn't turn out how you thought they would, that growing up actually meant letting go. One thing that Stranger Things does really well, and get this, is how it teaches its characters to obey. You heard me right, I said obey. And I'm not talking about do what you're told kind of way. It's creepier than that. It's belief, ritual. It's giving you just enough meaning that you stop asking why. From the very first season, there is this invisible structure. You're not just surviving in Hawkins, you're participating in it. The rules don't come from villain. They come from inside the system. Take the kids. They don't just play D&D, they live by it. Demogorgons, Mind Flayers, Vecna, they name every threat like it's just another creature in their game. Because turning the horror into something from D&D makes it feel smaller, less real. It's easier to believe you're in a game than admit you're in actual danger. It gives you purpose, a way to fight, a way to matter. Same thing with the adults. Joyce sticks to action, to doing something even if it's reckless. Hopper to control, to being the protector, the tough guy. And everyone else just plays their part. The teacher, the sheriff, the quiet parent, the hysterical mom. And that's exactly where it starts to feel a little cult-like. Once you think the role is real, you stop noticing when things don't make sense or when something inside you starts to unravel. Once you believe your pain means something, it gets harder to let go of it. Because if the pain stops, if the structure breaks, then what's left? You even see it in the villains. Vecna doesn't just kill people. He punishes them. He makes them relive their worst memories like he's doing them a favor. Like he's cleansing them or something. It's ritualistic, it's doctrine. And he's not wrong either. Remember the kinds of things he says?
Your pain will end soon.
These people are hurting. But instead of healing, they've found meaning in the suffering. So maybe the real control in Stranger Things isn't military experiments or shadow monsters or government suits. Maybe it's just meaning, the idea. It's assigned, it's then recycled, and then it's believed in, almost like a religion. Or because once everyone agrees what matters, no one remembers if it was ever real to begin with. If you step back and really look at Stranger Things, you start to notice something bleak. Okay, maybe this one is also literally in your face. Everybody is lying. Literally everyone. Constantly. I feel like the motto of the show was friends don't lie. Whatever happened to that? Eleven says she's fine at school, that she likes it there, but you can see it. She's getting bullied, constantly humiliated. And instead of saying how she actually feels, She tells Mike everything's great because maybe if she says it enough, it will feel true. Maybe pretending to be okay is the only thing keeping her from falling apart completely. And she's not the only one. Max pushes everyone away and says she just needs space, when really, she's drowning. Will hides how he feels. Sinclair pretends to fit in. Lying isn't just something the characters choose to do in Stranger Things. It's more like expect it. You see one of the characters on screen and you can almost tell that they're about to lie. Like maybe there is no other way to survive Hawkins. Maybe there is something that they know that we don't. After all, you lie to protect the people you love. You lie to pretend things haven't changed. You lie to keep the story going. Because if anyone stopped pretending, if they just said what they actually felt, the illusion might break. That's why truth is dangerous in this show. Telling your friends you're okay when you're not. Acting like things are back to normal after a monster rips someone in half in the middle of the street. There's even this weird thing where every time something awful happens, someone in town is like, well, we lost a lot of people last year, but we're going to make it all right by winning the high school championship game. Like, no, sir. People have melted and fused into a giant monster. This is not about basketball. Maybe it's just that the lie helps them move on. Because the truth that they're trapped in this endless, emotional kind of loop is unbearable. Even Vecna somehow is part of this. He doesn't just destroy people, he uncovers them. He brings their secrets to the surface. And it's horrifying, yeah, but at least it's honest. Maybe that's why he felt so threatening. Because he's not just a monster, he's a mirror. Quite literally a mirror that whispers in your face, look at me. This is who you really are. And let's face it, nobody in this town wants to look into that mirror for too long. Also, you would die, so yeah, there's that. Yeah, true. But yeah, deep down, they all know. If they stopped lying, even just for a moment, everything might fall apart. At some point, Stranger Things stops being about monsters or portals or even Hawkins itself. And it starts being about you. And I don't mean this in a way where I say, hey, there's a demo dog in your closet, maybe you should check it out kind of way. I mean it's that you wake up and you maybe already feel tired. Maybe the way you smile on autopilot. The way you forget when things stopped feeling real and started just continuing. That's the upside down too. That internal static. That sense that you're in your life, but not really living it. Where everything looks normal, but something underneath it is rotting and no one notices. You're functioning. You show up, you talk, you help, but inside, you're somewhere else entirely. You've learned how to keep things moving, how to look composed, how to look busy so no one asks you how you're doing. Because if they did, you might not know what to say. That's what Stranger Things understands. Or that's why it feels so easy to resonate, to enjoy the show over and over again, to feel home while watching it. It's not about the horror out there. It's about the horror in here. Not the big dramatic trauma or the crazy moments with chaos in them, but the quiet and the easy ones, the ones that are just somewhat silent. They don't make you scream. They just make you feel kind of disconnected. And I'm not saying you're feeling that, and I'm not saying that you are what Stranger Things is talking about. But if you did ever feel that way, if you've ever once in your life just felt disconnected or you were staring at a lamp for too long and then you felt something strange inside you, then you're already here in the upside down where we're all just floating sometimes. And that's okay. You've just watched Horror Within Stranger Things. Thank you so much.